Assalamu alaikum, sisters and brothers. Welcome. My name is Sister Fatima Hodge. Today, we're going to focus our, excuse me, sisters and brothers, give me one moment. All right, sisters and brothers, excuse me. Welcome to We Reflect the Light. And today, I wanted to focus on the plan to wipe out the original nation here in America. All right, sisters and brothers. So today we're going to focus on just exactly what I shared, their plan to wipe us out. And their main plan to wipe us out was to use, excuse me, sisters and brothers, their plan to wipe us out was for them to rape the black woman, right? Rape the black woman, make us produce their children. Now that seed is their seed, and kill all of our men, right? So we never produce again, right? They have committed genocide on the original nation. Sisters and brothers, this is one of the things that they attempted to do, to wipe us out, to abort our nation. Kill all of our men, rape our women, make us produce their seed. And that's exactly what they have been trying to do, sisters and brothers. However, they have not been successful in doing so because the black man and woman are still here today. So that shows the strength of the warrior queens, sisters. It shows the strength of us because we made sure that our nation would still be here today because we are the ones who birthed the nation, sisters. So understanding that, this is why it was so important for them to wipe out our men. This is what they want to do. This was their plan. When you commit genocide, you wipe out the men, right? Rape all the women, produce your children, right? Your seed. And that's exactly what they did to our nation. Now, sisters and brothers, during the Holocaust, which we know it as, you all know it as slavery. We know that slavery was not the true experience of the black man and woman, right? Not just slavery. We were not only enslaved, but also afflicted, right? So during that period, they raped the black woman. Not just during that period, but we know that that was the time of when massa began to rape us and make us produce their children. So during that time, sisters and brothers, you had house Negroes, right? And you had field Negroes. They were two different, right? However, excuse me, there was two different categories of Negroes, right? But why is that? You know, that makes you question. And that's a question that should be asked. Why were there two different types of Negroes? What what was the meaning of that? The house Negroes were in fact the seed from massa, from raping the woman, the black woman. This is why they identified them as house Negroes, sisters and brothers, because they were in fact massa seed from raping our women. From their attempt of genocide on our nation, they raped our women, which made us produce their children, and they put them in Massa's house. They put them in the house. Massa put them in his house. Now, Massa put them in his house because they were in fact his children, right? They look like us though, talk like us, walk like us, but they were not us. They were Massa's children, but they look like us because Massa raped the black woman, which forced us to produce his seed, his children. So you had the group of house Negroes and you had the group of field Negroes. The field Negroes were not Massa seed. We were the original nation and are the original nation, sisters and brothers, because you still have house Negroes today and you still have field Negroes today, sisters and brothers. Massa seed and the original nation. There's difference between the two Negroes, right? So a lot of our people don't even know that fact alone because they are taught, that um you were in the house because you were light skinned and you look like, that was the narrative. That is the narrative of this reality. You're a house Negro because you're light skinned. They were not just light skinned. They were in all type of shades of colors in the house because it didn't matter about the skin tone. You can come out in all type of colors, sisters and brothers, especially when you have a child by Caucasian, when a woman, a black, the black, see, excuse me, sisters and brothers, when they had babies by our women are original. So their skin tone may have been more dominant than that white gene, right? So we have to understand that the skin tone doesn't matter. It's the nature of the person, not the skin tone. Because you can have the darkest man and he'd be a Caucasian. You have the lightest man who could be original. So that's why we don't go by the skin tone because you get your skin tone and, the way that you look from your mothers, right? So understanding that, you had dark skinned house Negroes, you had light skinned house Negroes, so the skin tone didn't matter, and that isn't what qualified you as a house Negro. What qualified you as a house Negro is being Massa's seed, right? And obeying Massa. You can obey Massa all you want to be and be a field Negro, but you wasn't in the house. You know what I'm saying? Because we were looking up to the house Negroes, right? So we're trying to work as hard as we can to get into that house, but that's not what qualifies you to get into that house. What qualified you to get into that house was for you to be Massa's child, right? And there was a big difference between the way that we act. House Negroes, they got shoes, clothes, right? Certain foods that we didn't get, shelter. They were feeding Massa's babies happily, feeding Massa happily. We were in the fields. We didn't have anything. No clothes, no shoes, eating out of pig troughs, completely unlivable conditions they had us living in, laying on floors, waking up in the middle of the day, early in the morning, all the way to the end of the day, working 24/7 around the clock. That was what the field Negroes was experiencing. Sisters and brothers being beaten 24/7, being beaten by their house Negroes on top of that, and being beaten by them, right? So we have to understand they use their house Negroes, they use their children to manipulate the field Negroes, to make us think that some blacks do have some power. But that's their children, sisters and brothers, which is why they hate you just like their fathers. Now, the angel exposes these house Negroes from the rape of the black woman, the seed, as demons. Now, in today's reality, people look at demons as being something spooky, something that you're fighting, something that's not physical at all, right? And that is, in fact, false, sisters and brothers, because demons are actually physical people like you and I. And so are devils, which Elijah Muhammad and our God, Master Farah Muhammad, has exposed to us, our open enemies, which is the Caucasian nation. These devils, sisters and brothers, they were identified as devils, right? So we have the seed of man and the seed of beast. Why is that? Because these people are beasts by nature. And we are the man that they mix their seed with, right? Which produce their children. Demons, half man and half devil, because they have the black woman in them. That's who produced them, right? So that's why they're half man and half devil, demons. So they're camouflaged in with our nation. They look like us. They talk like us, sisters and brothers, but they are not us. House Negroes, sisters and brothers, and they have their own agenda. And their agenda is the American dream. Sisters and brothers, the American dream is Master's children's agenda. And they are camouflaged within with our nation. They're cancer to our nation. Because if you understand how cancer works, cancer cells resemble each other, right? Resemble the healthy cells, right? So it's hard to detect them. But they're in the same body with the healthy cells, corrupting them constantly, right? Which is eventually going to corrupt the whole body. And that's exactly what Master's plan was to do with his demon children. They are, in fact, a nation that was produced from rape, sisters and brothers. So we have this nation that's camouflaged in our nation, destroying our body because they look like us, they talk like us, but they are not us, sisters and brothers. That seed is what matters. They have the seed of Massa. Now, I want to show you all this chart that we have here. Give me one moment. I hope you all are able to see this photo here clearly. If not, I will post it in the comments for anyone else looking to study it. However, it is the demonology chart, sisters and brothers. And that explains to you exactly what I just explained to you all, showing that the father is the one who carries the bloodline, right? So if that's the case, you are who your father is, right? So if your father is a Caucasian man, then you are in fact a Caucasian. Regardless of who your mother is, you are in fact a Caucasian. And if your father is a black original man, then you are in fact an original man, right? Regardless of the skin tone, right? So, sisters and brothers, we have to understand that the man carries the seed, right? And the seed is what matters, regardless of how you look. The nature is what matters. And the nature of the Caucasians have been exposed as being what? Devils, right? They're devils by nature, right? So anything that they produce from their seed is also, in fact, a devil or our hidden enemies, like I just explained, sisters and brothers, devils in black skin from the rape of the black woman. This is the people, the blacks, that they put in positions to motivate the black community. They put on their television, sisters and brothers, because it's telling you their vision, not ours. All right, sisters and brothers, and we know that the master seed, house Negroes, demons, half man, half devil, their vision is to destroy you as well, just like their fathers. Because by nature, they're against who you truly are. So when they're operating on their operating system, right, you're automatically, they're automatically going to influence you to do what they're doing. Because why? They're in fact successful in this reality, just like their fathers, which is also something, another tactic that they're using to destroy our nation, because we're looking up to these people who are not us, but they look like us. So we don't know these things. We don't understand that. So we're working hard, doing extra things to get into Massa's house still. We don't realize that that's exactly what you're still doing from the past. The field Negroes looked up to the house Negroes because we wanted clothes, right? We wanted shoes, we wanted food, we wanted certain things that Massa's house Negroes had. That's the same thing that you want today, because that's the vision that they give you. Those are the people that they have motivating you. Those are the people that they have on their television, right? Because their vision is to destroy you, and their nature is totally against your nature, sisters and brothers. So that's automatically going to make you go against yourself. And you are following their lead because you don't have another example. They make sure that you don't have an example of who you truly are, because they want to destroy our image. They are out to abort our nation, sisters and brothers. And we know that abortion means to do it before, you have to do this before the baby is born, right? They know that the scriptures clearly identifies that the black man and woman will rise as a mighty nation and come against them, right? They're going to reap what they've sown. What they've done to our nation for 400 plus years, they're going to reap what they've sown, sisters and brothers. And the scriptures identify that we're going to rise as a mighty nation, sisters and brothers. And they can't have that happen. So they're in the plans to abort our nation, abort mission, sisters and brothers. So they're trying everything in their power to get rid of me and you, sisters and brothers, to destroy our minds, right? Because this is a mind war, right? So they're trying to destroy the minds of the black man and woman. That's exactly what they're doing, sisters and brothers. That's exactly what they're doing. And we have to understand that this is the plan of the enemy. Everything that you're watching on your televisions, everything that you're listening to, the music that you're listening to, the comedians, the celebrities, all the movies that you're watching, everything is in controlled by our enemies, because it's all to destroy the minds of the black man and woman of America, right? Not only do they want to destroy our minds, they also are trying to abort our nation in other ways as well, sisters and brothers. And this is through crime. This is through, sisters and brothers, they're trying to keep our men in the prisons, forcing us, putting us in conditions where we have to survive. So we are doing things that is not in us to survive. And they're making us look like we're criminals, making us look like we're bad people, but that's their children. Those are their children. Their children are killing, stealing, and destroying. And we're only doing these things because we are trying to survive. They're taking things from us. Let's use this as an example. Say, for example, we all live in a village, right? And everyone needs 5 apples to survive, right? Everyone needs these 5 apples to survive, right? To thrive, right? But they're taking apples from each person, right? So they took 3 apples from each of us, right? So now we all have 2 apples left, right? But we need 5. to thrive, right? To pay our bills, to feed our children, to make sure our family is safe. We need 5 of those apples, right? But they took 3 from us. So all we have is 2 left, right? So what does that put you in the position to do? Because you need that 5. Even though you only have that 2, you need that 5, right? So you're going out of your way, committing crimes, doing things that are outside of your nation because you're trying to fend for your family. You're trying to survive. And that's how they keep our men in prison. This is all planned out, sisters and brothers. Their plan is to abort our nation, abort mission, sisters and brothers. And that's exactly their plans. They want to keep our men in prison so we don't produce. That's another tactic of abortion, sisters and brothers. Not only to kill them all, you can also take them all away. And that's exactly what they're doing. They're taking all our men away, put them in prisons, building more prisons. Without prisons, they wouldn't have the system that they have. Without crime, they wouldn't even have courts and all the things that they are getting money from, which is why they have to keep the crime in our environment, which is why they're doing it in the Black communities, sisters and brothers, because they want to destroy our nation. They want to abort our nation, sisters and brothers. And they're doing things to force us to be just like their devil children, their demon children, sisters and brothers. They look like us, they talk like us, but they are not us. They're not us, sisters and brothers. We have a hidden enemy. A hidden enemy, sisters and brothers. Imagine how dangerous they are. Because we can see massa coming, but that hidden enemy, they look like us, they talk like us, they walk like us. So we don't know who is who, right? And we've been surrounding them for 400 plus years. So now, sisters and brothers, now we're acting just like them. Demon possessed. Because, sisters and brothers, you have to understand that we pick up on each other's thoughts. And that's another reason why they have us right up under each other. Why is that? Because they know that their minds are corrupted by nature. So it's going to automatically cause us to think corrupt thoughts, corrupt things, right? So that's why we have to understand that we're picking up on their corrupt thoughts. So some of the thoughts that you're having are not even yours, but you're acting out on them because you don't know. Sisters and brothers, you don't know. We're walking around in darkness, and this is your only true light because we are giving you the light that you need to be successful, sisters and brothers. Because if you do not know your enemy, you are, in fact, your own enemy, sisters and brothers. And it is important that you know who your enemies are. Because if you don't know, you're your own enemy, right? So that's why Massa did what he did to abort our nation. They tried through genocide, but the Black woman was so strong and powerful, she pushed through and kept producing our children, kept producing our nation. That proof is right here, right now, me speaking to you, because we're still here today. So that shows that didn't work, right? That didn't work. Now they're trying to throw all of our men in prison so we do not produce with our nation. That's not working because we're still here, right? Oh, okay, well, let me try this now. Let me try making them all gay. Let's make them all gay, and the women go here and men go here, and y'all love women. Let's try that. They're still producing. That didn't work, right? Now let's try something else. Let's try to make women think they don't need men, right? You don't need a man. Man, you don't need a woman, right? You're a single, independent, Black woman. When the real power lies within our unity, us coming together, because we are in fact one body, and they're corrupting our body, right? They're corrupting our body, causing illnesses, causing us to be sick, causing us to act other than ourselves, sisters and brothers. But once we are separated from them, complete complete separation, because that's what it's going to take. We will revert back to who we truly are, our nature. This is the way that we act today. That's not in us. That's how Massa painted our image as. It's on us. All that's on us. All we need is a bath. All you need is knowledge of self. This free gift that is for you. Free knowledge, not knowledge you have to pay for. And that's their demon children, as well, sisters and brothers, charging you for something that's supposed to be yours, right? And they're not even giving you that true knowledge. Sisters and brothers, they're not giving you that. They're supposed to be the lights in the dark, right? Aren't these pastors and preachers and all these motivators, aren't they supposed to be giving you the light that you need to be successful in the time? Isn't that their job? That is, in fact, their job, sisters and brothers. But they're not doing their job. No, excuse me, sisters and brothers. They're doing their job. But the job title that they have, they're not doing that. But their job is to destroy us, sisters and brothers, destroy our minds, right? Not guide you, destroy you, right? Because we got to understand that they're blind as well. So they're blind, leading the blind, on top of taking from you, sisters and brothers. So they don't know. So they're out here, massive children, preaching to you, telling you nothing that's going to benefit your life, sisters and brothers. Nothing. They're not telling you what to do about this war that's happening right now. They're not giving you any details about it. They're not telling you what's going to happen, what do you need to prepare for, what's there to come. They're not giving you any of that insight. But that's what they're supposed to be. That's their job title, right? It's supposed to be the light, the guide that you need. But they don't meet the description, right? Just like false Israel right now over there in Palestine, not at peace, about to be uprooted. But the scripture says that they would not be uprooted once my people are put in their land, Arabia, back to their land. They will not be uprooted. And they will be at peace as well, sisters and brothers, at peace, right? Is that what's happening over there? Is that what's taking place over there in false Israel? Are they at peace right now? They're not, sisters and brothers, they're not at peace. They're at war right now as we speak. And it shares that they will not be uprooted. My people, once they're put in their land, they will not be uprooted. But they're, in fact, sisters and brothers, about to be destroyed. Revelations, it speaks about the destruction of false Israel. Why? Because they are false. And they are not who they claim to be. It said they were the synagogue of what? Satan. And in chapter 2 and 3 of Revelations, verse 9, it identifies exactly who false Israel is, sisters and brothers. And that is Satan. So they are not God's chosen people who they're claiming to be. And they don't meet not one description of that. So do you guys see this pattern of these devils and demons lying, destruction, their mindset? They all act just alike, sisters and brothers. Kill, steal, and destroy. Kill, steal, and destroy. Because that's who they are by nature. This is their nature. Sisters and brothers, this is within them. This is who they are. And we don't know the depths of Satan. Honestly, sisters and brothers, why I say that? Because we don't know, we don't understand what they're doing to our people. We don't understand that they're in charge of what's running on your television, what you're listening to, what you're watching. Sisters and brothers, they're in charge of it. Why is false Israel in charge of everything that the black man and woman is consuming here in America? What's it got to do with them? Because they've stolen your identity. And they are in charge of keeping you distracted from realizing the crime that they've committed, right? So they're keeping you busy 24/7, have to pay your bills, having to watch this show, having to go to this sports, watch this sport, go to this game, listen to this corrupt music. Then you got the demon children tarnishing our image, walking around with their pants sagging halfway down, flip flops on, golds in their mouth, chains on their chains on their neck, tattoos all over their bodies. This is the demon vision. Our women walking around naked, thongs up their butts, sisters, breasts out, getting your behinds done, everything in your body, getting your noses done, lips done, all these things done. This is the demon's vision, sisters and brothers, and this is what we have to look up to. This is what our people are looking at, thinking that this is the right thing to do, which is why it will be hard to identify your hidden enemies because we are acting just like them due to us being here. But you know the difference because of your nature. Sisters and brothers, that's not who you truly are. Because once you separate from that, and once that hand is lifted off of us, false Israel represents that hand that's holding us down. Because they have stolen our identity, they have to make sure constantly that they keep you busy 24/7 around the clock so you never, ever, ever even have the thought to think, are you God's people? Right? And the scriptures identify they're going to be destroyed. And Iran will be victorious, right? Now, this is the war that it speaks about in the scriptures with Michael and his angels and the dragon and his angels. That's what you're witnessing right now. Michael and his angels represents our God, Master Fra Muhammad. Michael. And his angels are Iran and Syria. And it identifies that the dragon and his angels is the house of Sod. And you have his angels, America, Britain, false Israel. And they're all involved in this right now, sisters and brothers. That's exactly what's taking place. As the scriptures expose, right? And it also shares that they will be destroyed, right? False Israel will be taken out, right? Put under siege. But they're telling you, oh, we're winning this war. Oh, all these things they got. This is propaganda, sisters and brothers. They're lying. They're liars by nature, sisters and brothers. And they're lying to you just so you don't freak out. But they're not going to win this war, sisters and brothers. It's impossible. They're not going to win this war because we are the best of planners, sisters and brothers. And when they lose this war, America, everything that's happening over there in false Israel, all these people dying every single day, children, women, it doesn't matter. All of those things that you're seeing over there, it's about to come here to America, sisters and brothers. Chapter 18, sisters and brothers of Revelation, Babylon fall. It shares that it will be a total economic collapse here in America. That has never, ever taken place. A total economic collapse, sisters and brothers. And me and you are going to be here, right? Everyone here in America. It's going to be the shock, right, of the hour. America's not going to have any food, no fuel. They need fuel to run this whole economy. We gave them, they use the fuel to run this whole economy. It's an industrial revolution, so we gave them oil to run their economy, but they will no longer have that, right? You need oil for everything. You need fuel for everything that they produce here, you need fuel for it to run it, right? Their military needs fuel. For their weapons, they need fuel, right? For their planes, for their cars, for their machinery, everything needs fuel. And they won't have that, sisters and brothers, which is going to break the pride of their power because that's their power. Sisters and brothers, that's their bloodline. That's how they're thriving. That's how they're pumping. If that's cut off, sisters and brothers, that means America is now no longer thriving, alive anymore. And that's what they needed. It's no longer alive. But I said it's going to be unprecedented times because America has never seen or experienced anything like it. Worse than the Great Depression, worse than the Holocaust. That's what we're about to approach, sisters and brothers. That's the time that we are, in fact, approaching. Sisters and brothers, we are, in fact, approaching a time of unprecedented, sisters and brothers, unprecedented time, excuse me. Meaning no one can help you during this time. Nothing, not saying no one can help you, excuse me, but it's going to be a time that you're not going to be able to call the police. You're not going to be able to call and ask for help, some people to bring you some food, or we need this, we need that. No. Sisters and brothers, this is going to be a time where, that's why I said it's going to be the shock, because everybody is going to be in a panic. America has never experienced no food, having no water, and all the little things that people think they're stocking up with, that's going to be gone. On top of people needing food, so you better have it locked up real good, sisters and brothers. Everybody out here thinking that you got a farm and all these things. I got my fruits, I got my vegetables growing, I got these growing. You better hope that's going to be there when you walk outside. Because this is a life or death situation that's going to take place here, sisters and brothers. People are not going to care about you and your feelings. They're going to kill you and take your whole garden from you. They're going to kill you and take your whole stash that you have from you. It's sure that children will be gray-headed during this time. What in the world would make a child gray-headed? Think about that. The scriptures gives you an idea of what we're about to see, but it still doesn't paint the full picture because we have not experienced it. And experience is the best teacher, which is why our people, we have to experience these devils in full fledged, because our people right now, they think that these people are their friends. They think these people are okay. They think these people are safe. They're not, sisters and brothers. They're not. Far from it, sisters and brothers. And you're about to see the true nature of a devil. Something that we have not seen in our time. You are your ancestors. So what they've done to you, yes, they did it to you. And it still lies within you. Sisters and brothers, that fear lies within us. It doesn't go away. Which is why our nation is going to wake up as a mighty nation, because when they find out what will happen to them, that's going to spark them and wake them up. And they're going to realize who they truly are and what was done to them. So we're going to be angry, sisters and brothers, and all this stuff is in us, and we don't realize what is really taking place. That's why I say our people are going to wake up from this American dream and find out that they're in a nightmare, surrounded by devils and demons, surrounded by devils and demons who has done things, sisters and brothers, these devils and demons are half the reason why the decision making that you make, they're the reason, because they're the reason behind the decision making that you make. Because they're telling you to do this, do that, do this, do that. And the whole time they had been hurting you or destroying you. So you're gonna find out that these people are totally against you by nature. And you made choices from their mindset, and some of those choices hurt you for life. Like I said, our people are going to be angry. Sisters and brothers, the rise of the black man and woman of America, they fear us, sisters and brothers. They hate you. And their nature is 100% against us, sisters and brothers. So we have to focus and understand that this war is about you. I wouldn't say it's about you, but they're reaping what they've sown. They're reaping the consequences that they've done to the black man or woman of America. It's here that we'll be brought here, right? To a strange land. Read Genesis chapter 15, Genesis chapter 15 is where you can find the Abrahamic covenant, sisters and brothers. The Abrahamic covenant is the black man and woman's vision. Also, it identifies our reward, right? The covenant sisters and brothers, the covenant identifies our reward. And you have also Abraham's vision. And the black man and woman of America meets that description that you can find in Genesis chapter 15. And that vision is identified in verse 13, and it's shared that we, the black man and woman of America, will be brought to a strange land, right? You'll be brought to a strange land, enslaved and afflicted for 400 years, and afterwards will I judge that nation whom afflicted my people. After the 400 years, right? So let's do this timeline, sisters and brothers. We're brought here in 1555, brought to this land, this strange land, right? Because this was not, excuse me, sisters and brothers, this is not where we are originally from. So this tells you that this is a strange land, right? So we brought here to this strange land in 1555. It took them 64 years to strip us of all knowledge of self. Because when we were brought here, we still had our minds, right? We knew what was, going on, right? So they stripped us of all of that. And it took them 64 years to do so, which is why our servitude did not, in fact, start until 1619, okay? So 64 years from 1555 gives you 1619, sisters and brothers. So our servitude started in 1619. The first Negro bot hit the scene. Boom. 1619. They turned us into Negro bots. They raped our women, made us have babies, all through this period of 64 years to produce Negro bots that obeyed Massa. Yes, Massa. And that started in 1619, sisters and brothers. So it said that you'll be enslaved and afflicted for 400 years, right? And afterwards will I judge the nation whom afflicted my people, right? So, sisters and brothers, let's count 400 years from 1619. 1619, 400 years later, leads us all the way to 2019, sisters and brothers. So that means 2019, excuse me, sisters and brothers. So that means 2019 was the end of our servitude, right? 400 years. That was the mark. 2019, 400 years. And that's exactly what happened, right? It said that in 2020, well, not it shared this, but this is exactly what happened in 2020. What took place? The Passover, sisters and brothers. It shared that the virus would pass over you, but and who are you? Those with the lamb's blood, right? And that's exactly what it did. And it killed their people, which is why they shut down their whole economy. Which is why it's important for you to understand, sisters and brothers, that you're living out the scriptures. You're living out the scriptures clearly from that timeline I just showed you, just shared with you, and also what it identifies as our what would take place to the black woman of America, black man and woman of America in Genesis chapter 15, verse 13. It identifies exactly what would happen. And that's exactly what happened, right? So we're living out the scriptures. Scriptures are not past tense, ancient this, ancient Babylon, ancient. No, sisters and brothers, we're living out the scriptures because the Bible, the book, is our guidance, right? This is the book for the time. We're in the last book of the Bible, which is Revelations, which is the Injil. And that is your map to getting out of America, sisters and brothers. This is our guidance, and they have distorted you and took you away from the guidance that is yours, sisters and brothers. And on top of, they don't even know the true meaning of the scriptures, but they have controlled you to where they are the ones reading for you, telling you what this means. This is what this means. Sisters and brothers, when you can go read for yourself and read in Genesis chapter 15, verse 13, clearly, and you will see that it is talking and speaking to God's people, the black man and woman of America. We are the only people that meets that description. But this is what false Israel is claiming to be. They're claiming to be us. Sisters and brothers, and they're not us. Like I shared, they closed down their whole economy because of that virus that took place. Because it was killing them, not us, not Black Africa. It was killing them, sisters and brothers. It will pass over us. That's exactly what it did. So that's why I share it's important for you to understand that we're living them out. Sisters and brothers, we're living out the scriptures. And the scriptures we have not got to the point to where we're back to our land. So that alone should tell you that false Israel, well, they are liars. They're liars. It reads in verse 18, Genesis chapter 15, verse 18. That's our covenant. And I'm going to pull that up. Give me one moment. All right, sisters and brothers, give me one. I'm going to read this to you before I open up my camera back. It says, chapter verse 18, in the same day the Lord made a covenant with Abram, saying, unto thy seed have I given this land, from the river of Egypt unto the river, unto the great river, the river Euphrates. So understanding that, sisters and brothers, this is speaking about Arabia. That is the covenant, sisters and brothers. It should that we will leave out of here, right? Out of this land, right? Sisters and brothers, excuse me, give me one moment. One more moment. Right, chance we will leap out of this land. So verse 18 identifies the covenant that was made to the black man and woman of America for suffering, exactly what it described in verse 13 in Genesis chapter 15. Sisters and brothers, that will be the reward for going through that, sisters and brothers. And the thing is that, you know, we were supposed to be slaves to our enemies, right? But they decided to afflict us as well. And it was told for them not to touch that tree, or they will be cursed. Sisters and brothers, they will be cursed, right? But they touched that tree anyway. They ate from that tree. And we know that is until that eating means to take out of existence, right? And that's exactly what they did. They started to kill the black man and woman of America. And that's exactly why they are cursed forever. And that's exactly what, excuse me, sisters and brothers, they're going to reap what they've sown to the black man and woman of America. And we are their consequences, which is why they're trying to keep us dead, keep us asleep, sister and brother, because we are the consequences of their actions. We're gonna find out what happened to us, and they're gonna reap what they've sown, sisters and brothers, because we are the personification of their consequence. We're gonna give them their consequences, sisters and brothers. We've been holding it back for 400 years. Imagine all the anger that you've been damming up. Imagine all that. And when that dam breaks, sisters and brothers, they're in for a rude awakening, sisters and brothers. It reads, it said, come on, let's deal wisely with them, deal shrewdly with them. Let me make sure, excuse me, sisters and brothers, that I have the right, excuse me, sisters and brothers. I'm having a little technical difficulty, excuse me. It should deal shrewdly with them before they come and join our enemies and fight in war. And that's exactly what's about to take place, because they've been trying to deal shrewdly with us. They have been dealing shrewdly with us, sisters and brothers. We don't even realize what's happening. So that's clear as day that they've been dealing shrewdly with us. We don't even realize that we're surrounded by enemies. We don't even realize that they actually hate you. So, sisters and brothers, we have to understand that the Bible is a guidance. And they've been definitely taking heed, sisters and brothers, because they're making sure that you don't read that scriptures yourselves. They're making sure that you stay blind, deaf, and dumb, right? Because they know that that higher pressure defeats that lower pressure. And they want to keep us under them. So we never, ever are able to, come to that level of thinking. Because this is a mind war, sisters and brothers. And soon, very soon, we're going to be that higher pressure. And this is the higher pressure. This NGO is the higher pressure. And when our nation come together and we're all on the same mission, the same vision, sisters and brothers, all together, that higher pressure is going to wipe out that lower pressure, sisters and brothers. And they are going to be that lower pressure, and they're going to be defeated, sisters and brothers. This is how we're going to walk around with no weapon formed against us going to prosper, because we're going to be applying who we truly are, our nature, and we're going to come together as one body, one band, one sound, one vision, and applying our nature, which is the five mathematical pillars of Islam, your true nature, sisters and brothers, your true protection. And no weapon formed against you will prosper. It said, no hand will be laid on us, sisters and brothers, during the tribulation. And it's going to be unprecedented times. So imagine how powerful you and I are, sisters and brothers, and going to be. It said in the twinkling of an eye, we're going to rise. So if the scripture said that this is what's going to happen, why it won't happen? That's because we're going to make that happen. We're going to do that. And it said that it's going to happen, right? So that means that we're going to rise up, come together as a mighty nation. And that alone should motivate you to be enthusiastic, to make sure and fight for the people who don't know this information. Because it said a lot of our people will perish through the lack of knowledge, right? That's why we are here with this light to give you the knowledge that you need to be successful for the time. And we're trying to save as many as our people as we can. So if you feel like you are a part of this body, this message resonates with you, your mind, your body, sisters and brothers, then you are in fact a part of this body and you can join in this fight to rise and wake up the black man and woman of America. Ask any questions that you feel want to ask, sisters and brothers, because this is your knowledge. This is knowledge of self. This is for us. This is for you. This is for me. This is a free gift. We're not asking for your money. We're not asking you to do this, do that. Sisters and brothers, all we're asking you is to get your minds back. And also help those who don't have their mind once you receive yours. Right? Even if you don't have it all, give what you have. Because that one thing could save another one of our sisters and brothers. Because we're entering into pitch dark times. We're pitch dark right now because all the lights that claim that they're lights are not. Like I shared, preachers and pastors, they're not giving you this truth. They're not giving you this light. They're not telling you what the enemy is doing to you because they, in fact, are your enemies. But they look like you and they talk like you, so you're deceived by them. You're listening to them. So, sisters and brothers, we encourage you to question us. We encourage you to tune into our live streams that we have on our YouTube account that you all can also reach out to. We reflect the light. You also have the Son of Man YouTube as well, who constantly is going live 24/7 around the clock to make sure that our people receives this light. Because this is your only escape from this corruption, sisters and brothers. This is the only escape from America because America's about to be destroyed. And their demon children, they're going to be trying to take over America when America is about to be destroyed. No, sisters and brothers. But they're trying to take it over. Why? Because they don't want to get out of here. They don't want to leave America. Because this is, in fact, their land, just like their fathers. Sisters and brothers, they were born here from the rape of the black woman. So yes, they have the narrative about, oh, we already been here. We've been here. Yes, because they were born here, right? So that's another sign and indication that you're dealing with someone, an enemy. Like I said, you can tell by their nature. Sisters and brothers, they love massa. They obey massa. They do everything massa tells. They want to look like massa. An example of that is Michael Jackson. There you go. He's totally changed his whole skin tone just to look like massa. Because that's who he truly is by nature. And he hated that black skin. Hated that black skin. Hated that black hair. Right? Look at him. Look at how he looked before he went away. Passed away. That's how much hate that they have for the black man and woman of America. And you got people that look like us. Like Michael Jackson, they look like us. But his nature was, in fact, a Caucasian. And he transformed himself to exactly who his nature is. When I say you hate, yes, he hated himself because he hated being black skinned. But his nature was, in fact, a devil. Sisters and brothers. And that's what all these people are doing, bleaching their skin, trying to make sure they're light as possible. Because they hate that black seed. And they hate it, and they hate it because we're totally against it. It's their nature. Right? They love their animals before they love you, before they like you. They'll save their animals before they save you. Because they're, in fact, beasts, just like the animals. They're animals themselves, which is why that connection is so deep between them, which is why they brought dogs and all these things into their houses, all these things, because this is who they are by nature. They love these animals. They're animals. Sisters and brothers. So, with that, thank you for watching. We reflect the light with Sister Fatima Hodge, and I will be back with more. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.